Ocho sampo pa gyo trashi pa tuche tempe le yarngo da belge drolor zampe ze parace palde lame shabla Vade Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bara Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bara Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bara Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bara Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bar Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bar Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bar Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bar Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Dagi Gyaltsen Lama Tuje Je Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu Su Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo Su Uyon Songe Nawa Tsedu Su Teje Ningne Sowa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Lekshune Ila Sambe Dede Malupa Gemel Hungi Trubra Sonye Sodan Dikdun Shabetse Dungi Namge Yinsu Lekshune Lapchen Sonye Yonsu Zobadan Chiranye Dun Shanwara Jingelo Chancho Parge Ninsen Tuguntu Nyu Peme Sivro Lekshune Chancho Drebe Gegen Kunshishi Tungen Dela Drubra Jingelo Dagi Lona Chola Chobadan Chumi Samjur Ngemba Shiwad Chodan Timbe Dede Malupa Beme Lungi Drubra Jingel Torna Tingne Tsira Tamchedan Teche Pardu Rese Kamne Lama Kele Me Tuche Chingi Dala Siksuso Gongyab Dreve Nyamda Dachala Chetsun Lame Tuche Rabgongne Kodan Sunge Nawa Drame Tu Nyamsu Nyongwe Kesan Tobrasho Kewa Kundu Yanda Lama Dan Drame Cheki Pela Longche Dan Lamge Yende Rabzo Dorje Change Koba Nyur Tobe Sho Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tugi Ten Yerme Chiktu Chinge Lo Makyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Makyuke Sundan Makyuke Tugdan Dagi Ten Yerme Chiktu Chinge Lo Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Munye Svoha Om Muni Amuni Mahamuni Shakya Munye Svoha. Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chanamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Jinso Sonamgi Trola Pinchre Ruparasho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chanamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Dagi Jinso Give Sonamgi Trola Pinchre Sangye Ruparasho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chanamla Chancho Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chishe Give Sonamgi Trola Pinchre Sangye Drupa. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Before we go into the next question, I'd like just to add something. It seems for me that we are very much concerned. We take a lot of energy for everything that is in the surroundings, like a situation or something. We very much stay in the, let's say, in the superficial part, but we have some difficulty going into its essence, going more deep into it. From the problems of daily life, very often what we want is to solve the little problem of the moment that we are experiencing instead of understanding it on a more medium, long term. And what happens is that we end up often living on a more superficial level of things. So as we stay in a more level, we, how to say, we get lost somehow into the daily little things. We get lost in superficial things because this and that, that's, oh, I am hungry, it's hot, it's cold, and this and that. Okay, what time of the year is now? Summer, right? What's the temperature supposed to be in summer? Hot. So we just say, okay, it's hot, fine. We don't need to stay repeating, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. That's all. Simply what happens, what I want to say is that we let very often so many things that all these things, they simply occupy the space of our mind. And they're very superficial things that we let occupy the space of our mind. And then when there is something more deep, sometimes we just let it pass by. Okay, we just a little bit at it. We say, oh, nice, and then it just go by. No? For example, yesterday, we were talking about the 12 links of interdependence. Actually, it's something very, very, very deep. It's not at all something superficial in our lives. But in order to make it deep, it's not so easy. It requires more dedication, it requires reflection, it requires meditation, it requires for us to repeat it again and again. And it requires, first of all, for us to dedicate the space within our life for it. Otherwise, we have some time here because we are here together for the time of the teaching. So we listen, we think about it, everyone very concentrated, that's wonderful. I do my best to explain, you do your best to understand. That's fun, very good. But then we just leave it there sometimes. Instead, we need to take it with us. We need to reflect upon it again and again. We need to make our own experience. Then it makes a true difference. And in order to do that, we need to free ourselves from the space that is being occupied with useless things. Now, a lot of space in our mind is finally occupied with so many little things that we accumulate in our daily life. Here, this, and that, and so many things. And then finally, all of this accumulates space, occupies space in ourselves. And then when we want to dedicate for something more serious, we simply don't have enough space. Okay? So, this is one point I just wanted to remember is, please, we need to keep our space sacred. Our inner space, it's something very sacred, it's something very precious. We should not use it just for superficial, stupid things. We need to use it for things that are really beneficial. And this is actually somehow rare, because if we look, many people around us, our own society, not only here but also in other cultures, the objective very often is to fill up space. It doesn't matter much, no. We just need to fill it up, because we don't like so much to look inside. So we need to fill up our space with gossiping and what is doing. We need to fill up our space with, I don't know, stories and films and the television things and the news and the neighbor news. It doesn't matter, you know. Like, what is the newspaper that sells the most? Gossiping newspaper. And I am sure if we would make a weekly magazine of Albagnano's gossip, it will sell right copies. I have no doubt about it. Huh? We will have no more money problems. Sell so many copies, and we can even make a YouTube channel talking about the gossips, and it will be very successful. Sure, it will have many more views than all the teachings. This is for sure. It's a sad truth, you know, in the sense that we try to occupy our space. We don't know really much, but we have so much work. So, is to have the awareness to keep our inner space sacred, to give value to it. Say, I'm not going to fill it up with what is not necessarily. Like one very small example, some years ago when someone was telling me something, and sometimes, it happens that a person is telling something, then the person stops in the middle and say, oh, no, better I don't say. Normally I would just say, I'm quite a curious person actually, so normally I would say, no, now you must tell me, don't leave it in the halfway. And a few years ago, I just stopped doing that, and I simply said, okay, you don't want to tell me, better for me. Less space of my mind that is used with something that is not important for me. If you don't want to tell me, it means it's not even important for me. So I don't need to know. My mind is too precious. My inner space is too precious to fill it up with these things. So one time, when I arrived in the monastery, Rinpoche, I was a small kid. Then Rinpoche told me, here you will need to memorize many things, study many things. But remember one thing, the more positive things you put inside your mind, the more space you have. The more negative things you put inside your mind, less space you have. Like when you memorize the text and when you memorize good things, you have more space. When you put inside your mind useless things, you have less space. So, I just wanted to say that these teachings that we are following from Lama Tsongkhapa, they are really deep, they are really important. Lama Tsongkhapa is guiding us in such a gentle and nice way on the correct path. First, showing the importance of developing renunciation, which means the wish to be free from samsara, understanding our own state, going through to understand what is the main cause, what are how ignorance is the main cause of suffering, how does it function as the main cause of suffering, why, and so on. But it's something that we need to reflect upon. It's something that we need to bring to our life, not keep it just as a knowledge. So this is just to remember us of that. Okay. Otherwise we listen, we may say, oh, very nice teachings, and then what happened after? Okay, oh, but my real problem is that, okay, I need to have this diet that I don't like, and that person was and didn't do, and that person, I don't like the way how he acts, and here and that, and we have this preciousness of having in front of us the 12 links of interdependence and bodhicitta and so many other things that really makes a difference in our lives. So we need to give the right space for these things. That's just a footnote. Okay. So now, we go to the sixth question. So the sixth question, Lama Tsongkhapa says, Tenam, dinam trite. Ten gomba dan janjugi sen gomba nigi nangne, zobe sange drube, tumo maimbe rangi gyote kain. Then we have the answer. Ngedo janju semni le, zobe sange druba ye, main nyerlingyo, kunzo janju semlakte, kanchir gombo shiwa le, tering sange riksuke, sange sesu thagyurto, shesu lungda. The question is, if they are identified, they what? The root of samsara. How, through this root of samsara, we are actually turning in this wheel of samsara, in this wheel of suffering, which was, if we were able to identify the ignorance and the 12 links of how we are turning in samsara, if they are identified, I then ask the following question. Between either meditation on the definitive meaning and meditation on bodhicitta, what is the uncommon cause for achieving the state of complete enlightenment? Uncommon cause means the main cause. Common cause means like the conditions around. Okay? Like if we are going to have one plant that is growing, the uncommon cause is the seed, which is only for that specific. The common causes will be the water, the earth, and so on, okay? So the uncommon cause is the specific cause that will generate that. There are many other causes around, but the so-called uncommon, which means the specific cause, okay? So what is the main cause of enlightenment? That's the question. Once we understand that ignorance is the root cause of our suffering, and is the root cause of samsara, and we understand how samsara is functioning through the 12 links of interdependence. Well, then we have here two types. One is a correct view of reality, as it's said here on the definitive meaning, which is the correct view of reality, emptiness. And the other one is the meditation on bodhicitta, which is love and compassion towards all sentient beings, the determination to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So between these two, which one is the main cause for enlightenment? What's the one that is the actual main cause for us to reach enlightenment? And then here, Panchen Rinpoche answers. In definitive meaning, there are two minds of enlightenment. The uncommon substantial cause to accomplish the complete enlightenment, and the conventional mind of enlightenment of bodhicitta. Which cause we say here, Ngetun chanchun sem nile zope sange drubai tumo main nyerlingyu kunzob chanchu sem lakte kanchir gombo shiwale tene. Okay, I think there is some little mistake in the translation, which means, in definitive meaning, there are two minds of enlightenment. Yeah, literally is correct. But I think it will be a little different because it says, Ngetun janchus. Ngetun means definitive, which means the actual meaning, which is the realization of emptiness, basically. Okay? And Janchup Gisem is bodhicitta. So, from the two minds of bodhicitta and the mind that realizes the definitive meaning, I would say the two minds here, in the definitive meaning, there are two minds of enlightenment. This is not precisely correct, I think. Literally, it's okay, but I think the meaning is not exactly like that. I would say there are two minds, the mind of enlightenment and the mind of the definitive meaning. Okay? The uncommon substantial cause to accomplish the complete enlightenment is the conventional mind of enlightenment, or bodhicitta. For that reason, the savior Shantideva in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, in his Bodhisattva's way of life, said, having generated it, which means the common bodhicitta, which means the relative bodhicitta, today we are born in the lineage of Buddha, or in the family of a Buddha. From now on, we are the child of Buddha, and so forth. This is thus established by scriptural authority and logic. Okay, so let's get the meaning of this. We have here basically what is called two types of bodhicitta: relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. Which could actually, the first line we could even translate is that from the absolute bodhicitta and the other, which means there are two minds of bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. So from these two, the uncommon substantial cause to accomplish the complete enlightenment is the conventional mind of bodhicitta, not the absolute one. Okay, so what does that mean? First of all, what is bodhicitta? Bodhicitta is the body means enlightenment, citta means mind. So, it means the mind that wishes to reach enlightenment. What is enlightenment? That's an important question. Because up to now we were talking about liberation in the text. What actually enlightenment means? When we look around ourselves and we want to help others, okay, we will inevitably get to a point where we see that we are not able to help them so much. Because it's quite difficult to help someone to change their mind. It's quite difficult to help someone to help himself. I can give food, I can give material help, I can give love, I can help in many ways. But it's very, very difficult to guide someone on the path to be. It's not simple at all. So, when we really want to help others, sincerely, we will get to a point where we somehow get stuck and we'll say, no, but how can I do that? How can I really help others? I don't have the means for that. So here, it comes to the final conclusion that the only way that I can really help others is first by developing my own qualities. I must have fully developed wisdom. Because in order to help others, I must understand their mentality. Help someone, I must speak language, which means I must be able to show my point of view through his point of view. So we can do that to the people that are more us. But what about all sentient beings? That's way too much. So that's why we say, I must become a Buddha, which means I must develop my qualities to their maximum potential. I must eliminate my defilements and completely, and also the seeds of my defilements, the imprints of my defilements. I must eliminate everything completely. Because by I will be able, as a Buddha is able, to understand the needs and the mentality and to see reality through the eyes of everyone. Like if we look to a person and we are reality through his eyes, then I know what to say. I know how. So, to develop compassion without wisdom is quite frustrating. A Buddha has wisdom. Wisdom has, it means the ability to know how to help others truly. So enlightenment is the state where the qualities are fully developed, love, compassion, and the activities are completely eliminated. Oh, but when we reach enlightenment, you melt in some sort of absolute reality. I even saw sometimes some people saying, no, I'm not sure if I want to reach enlightenment right now. I like my life so much. Like if reaching enlightenment means losing one's own identity and melting into some sort of infinite, absolute, whatever, okay, consciousness. I don't believe it's like that. Enlightenment is just what we are, but very different. Okay? Just imagine being yourself, but no anger, no jealousy, no pride, no selfishness, no suffering at all. Perfect understanding of each and every one. Perfect understanding of every people and every situation around us. No doubt about anything, certainty in every action. Ability to see the differences and to see the similarities of each and everything. Having clear understanding of everything that appears to us at every moment. That's enlightenment. Okay, just in few words. So, why would we ever wish to reach enlightenment? Because the path to reach enlightenment is not that easy. We need to develop generosity, morality, patience, effort, concentration, wisdom. It's not so simple. We really need to develop many qualities to reach enlightenment. So why would we ever want to reach enlightenment? Isn't it enough just to get out of suffering? If we only think for ourselves, it's more than enough somehow. You know, imagine if you simply stop suffering, no any more type of suffering at all. Wouldn't that be enough? If someone would come to you today and said, look, here you are, I can give you total freedom from any sort of suffering, but then you need to give up on sentient beings. You cannot help others. What would we say? Maybe we would say, okay, one sentient being less suffering, that's even something already. After I can change my mind and I can help others, at least momentarily, I will be better. The truth is that when we develop true love, we would never accept something like this. But when we really develop true love towards others, the only choice we have is to develop our quality. Else that we can do. That's why when you have the meditator living by himself on the cave, it's not that he has no compassion. The other way around. Exactly because he's full of compassion, he wants to develop his qualities fully in order to be able to help others in a deep way. Because the true problem of this planet, true problem of existence, of all sentient beings, of suffering, is not the economical problems, it's not the environmental problems, it's not the health problems, it's ignorance, it's selfishness, it's hatred, attachment. That's what creates all the suffering. So in order to change that, we need to be able to overcome it ourselves. So that's the wish to reach enlightenment. I must develop my qualities, I must eliminate my defilements so that I may be able to help others truly. So the mind of enlightenment, the mind that wishes to reach enlightenment, that wishes to develop one's quality fully and eliminate one's negativities completely, is a state of mind that is based on true love and compassion. Okay? It's not something like, oh, I want to reach enlightenment, and okay, once I will reach enlightenment, then yes, I will help others. You know, I'll have nothing to do. I'll be boring, so instead of just not doing anything, okay, I will help others. Bodhicitta is, I must help others, and because of that, I need to reach enlightenment. Reaching enlightenment is the result. The need to reach enlightenment is the result of the need of helping others, and not the other way around. Okay. So, there are two types of bodhicitta. There is the mind of enlightenment, the mind of enlightenment, which is called relative bodhicitta, which is the mind of love and compassion towards every sentient being, and the determination to do something ourselves. And what can we do to help others? We can develop our own self spiritually. And then there is what is called absolute bodhicitta, which is basically absolute bodhicitta. Is once we have developed bodhicitta, there are the moments in which we enter into a state of meditation and we reflect upon the correct view of reality, upon the true nature of reality. That is called absolute bodhicitta. It's the realization of emptiness of a bodhisattva. That's called ultimate bodhicitta, Tendampe Janjogi. So, which is the main cause for enlightenment? is relative bodhicitta. Cause for enlightenment, the first thing that we need to do, the main thing that we need to do to reach enlightenment is to fall in love for it, is to want it so much. I must reach enlightenment. Just to be free from suffering is not enough. I must help others. So for that, I need to reach enlightenment. I must develop my qualities. I will practice the path of the Bodhisattva. I will practice generosity, morality, patience, effort, concentration, wisdom. I must help others. I have no choice, but I must reach enlightenment. That's the main cause for us, is wish for it. One of my great Rinpoche, he used to say, the first thing that you need to do to have something to happen is to wish for it. If we do not wish for enlightenment, it will never happen. Chitta is the mind that wishes for enlightenment. Okay? In the sense that there is two chitta of relative bodhicitta. We call Mumpa Semke Semke. Okay? Mumpa Semke is the bodhicitta of aspiration. Jukpa Semke is bodhicitta of practice, of enter. Which means, Mumpa Semke, when we wish to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, but we are not truly putting the energy in order for it to happen. We like the idea. We deeply have the wish, but we are not like doing it. The example that is given is that the bodhicitta of intention is, I have the intention to go walking from here. I want to go very much, but I have not yet started walking. That's the bodhicitta of intention that inevitably comes first. Then when I actually start walking, that's the bodhicitta of entering. Jukpa Semke, that's the bodhicitta of practice. Okay? So, of action. So this is the two types of bodhicitta. But the first step is what? Is to wish. Is to have this strong determination, I must reach enlightenment. And for that I must follow the path of the bodhisattva, because I must reach enlightenment for the beings. And the wish to reach enlightenment, it cannot come without of love and compassion towards others, which is question number 7. So this is the basis for develop bodhicitta. To develop the mind that wishes to reach enlightenment is to develop love towards others and compassion. There is no other way. Otherwise, if we say from our mouth, if we say, oh, I want to reach enlightenment because I don't want to suffer, then what we are saying, we use the word enlightenment, but what we mean is liberation. Okay? Enlightenment makes only sense for our own personal benefit only. Liberation from suffering is more than enough. Okay? So the main cause is what? Is relative bodhicitta, is the mind based on love and compassion that wishes to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay? First thing, when we talk about enlightenment, enlightenment is the state where both obstructions are eliminated, which we call Nyuntrip and Nyuntrip, Nyomompedriba, and Shejedriba. Nyomompedriba is the obstruction of defilements. Shejedriba is the obstruction to knowledge. Shejedriba. Okay? So what is that actually? Nyomompedripa, the obstruction of defilements, or Nyuntrip, is the actual mental defilements. Ignorance, selfishness, hatred, aversion, attachment, satisfaction, fear, miserliness, pride, and so on. Okay? And the main one, the head of all mental defilements, is ignorance, or the root is ignorance. Okay? This is called the obstruction of defilements. And once the obstruction of defilements is eliminated, there is no more suffering. We are free from samsara. In order to be free from samsara, we need to eliminate the obstruction of defilements, which basically means eliminating ultimately ignorance. Okay? But once we eliminate the obstruction of defilements,
there is still of knowledge. The obstruction of knowledge, or the obstruction to omniscience, two ways of translating it, Shejetripa, it is the imprints of ignorance. The imprints of ignorance are actually so-called obstruction to omniscience. In other words, it means ignorance is the grasping at inherent existence. The day before yesterday we were talking about that. We were explaining that ignorance is when we grasp reality as being solid, inherent, as being independent, absolute. Okay? And actually, when we start to observe, we will see that actually reality is interdependent. Okay? So, ignorance is the grasping at inherent existence. The imprints, or the imprints of ignorance, is the appearance of inherent existence. Making an example, let's imagine that since we were a kid, we go to one show, like a sort of a theater. Okay? So we have there all the actors making their play and dancing and singing and telling jokes and so on. Very nice play. And since I was a kid, I like so much this play. So every month I play. And I see the actors and I like them so much. I am a big fan of these actors. So even after I take my children to see the same play, and I say, these actors are so good. The play is so nice. And I believe it's a theater play. I go there, I see all the people moving. I see them singing. I see them talking. Then one day someone come to me and say, look, haven't you seen that actually it is not a play? That's just a movie? I said, no, impossible. But I see the people. They are there. They are singing. They are playing. I can see them. Yes, but it's not exactly as it appears. Imagine a projection on the right size, everything, okay? And then, I say, really? And then the person starts showing us, look, haven't you seen that all the time you came, the act exactly? I said, oh, it's true, but I simply thought they were good actors. Haven't you seen that it's more or less the same, whatever, and then slowly we start to doubt, is it real actors or not? Until there is a moment where we understand, oh, this is not a true people, this is just a projection. Until then we go slowly near, more and more near, until one day we cross the limit. And then we are able to see that we see the flat screen and the light projected behind. And then we look and we see no. So we have a direct experience that actually these are not people, this is just a light on a screen. Then the next day we go back to see the play again. We sit in the chair, we look at the show. How does it appear? But what happens? We know. We know they are not true people, but it looks like that. Okay? The fact that it still appears to us as being real people is the imprints of the ignorance grasping it as true people. In the moment that it does not appear either as true people, and at the same time we don't even grasp it as being a true people, this is when we eliminate both the ignorance and the imprints of the ignorance. In other words, how does reality appear to us as being inherent existence? Do we believe in it? Do we grasp at it? Yes. When we are able to eliminate completely the grasping by having a direct experience, a non-conceptual direct experience that phenomena are not of inherent existence. It's like going and looking at the screen from behind. From that moment on, actually, we don't have any more, we eliminate ignorance, we get out of the cycle. We don't have any more the grasping at inherent existence. But as soon as our meditation ends and we look at reality around us, how does it continue to appear to us? As being of inherent existence, even though we know it's not. It's like being in a dream and knowing that we are dreaming. Okay? So a Buddha, enlightenment is the state in which both are eliminated. We can overcome ignorance and also the imprints of ignorance. So there is no more grasping at inherent existence. Also, there is no more appearance of inherent existence. For a Buddha, everything appears just as it is, which means interdependently. You can perceive the interdependence in everything with every sense. Okay, that's one of the meanings of being a Buddha. And a Buddha is the one that, and the only reason to reach enlightenment, because it's not easy, the whole process, is to help others, is based on love. There's no other reason why we would actually reach enlightenment. Okay? So, this is one important thing. And here comes the fact also that we had two questions. Maria, tua domanda era? Okay. Yeah, enlightenment is a stage that is the result of developing bodhicitta. So there is this strong intention to help others, and as a result of that, it's possible to reach the state of Buddhahood. But it's important to have clear for us the only reason why we would ever reach enlightenment. Why would I put all my energy, once I have got out of suffering, why would I still put energy, if not for the benefit of others? No reason. So enlightenment is the result of love and compassion. That's the basis of enlightenment. And here comes the other question, which is also very important, which is, but a Buddha that is completely beyond suffering, won't he suffer when he sees the suffering? The answer actually is no. Because to develop compassion without wisdom is very frustrating. Because I want so much everybody to be free from suffering, but I don't know how to do it. I see the suffering in others, and this is like cutting my own heart, and then this will create a lot of suffering. And we see this a lot, Many people, they start developing more compassion towards others. They suffer a lot. Sometimes people even close their heart to others because they don't want to suffer. So compassion and love without wisdom is frustrating. What is the wisdom? Wisdom is to relate to reality in accordance with coherence, what reality actually is. So for example, let's say it happens very often to all of us, for me at least it happens very often, to have in front of me a person, we've met, but to have in front of me a person that is in a lot of pain, is in a lot of... And we look to that person and say, what can I do? The only thing that I can do, or that you can do, or anyone else here could do, or even the Buddha, or have a whole assembly, a commission of 100 Buddhas come here and say, how can we help this person? What can we do to help this person? The only thing that any one of us could do is interact with that person in a positive way. We cannot do anything more than that. We cannot, us or a Buddha or anyone, cannot enter into the mind of the person and take away ignorance. We cannot go inside and give love, change the mind of the person who is suffering or give joy. Only thing that we can do is interact in a positive way in order to make change. Even the process of healing is like this. I interact with the patient, with the sick person, in a way. And if the cause and conditions are there, the sickness will be cured. But he cannot take out the suffering of anyone, take away the sickness of anyone. No healer can do that. The only thing that we can do, any one of us, is to interact positively with others. That's the only tool we have for change. So when developing wisdom, we start to understand interdependence. We start to respect the person's suffering because causes and conditions that were created. And then also we need to understand the limits of love. It doesn't matter how much I love you. I cannot make you happy. I cannot take your suffering away. It's a limitation that We need to understand that. Because if we look, when we suffer for the suffering of others, most of the times, I would say, we suffer actually because we don't want the other person to suffer, and it goes beyond our expectation of what should be reality. So we are in a reality and saying, how come you are suffering? You should not be suffering. Things shouldn't be like this. And that's where we suffer. Okay? We have a difficulty accepting reality. In the moment that actually have no conflict with reality, we relate to it in a very harsh way. And we know very clearly what are our limits until where we can go, what we can do, what we cannot do. It's like if you take all the powers of a Buddha and you take the power of karma, the law of karma, and you put on a scale, they have the same weight. A Buddha have no power on anyone more than can only interact, nothing more. So, when we understand more clear this, and we start to relate to reality through wisdom, we start to relate to reality in a harmonious way, and we do not enter anymore in conflict, we are in a coherent way with reality, then there is no need to suffer when we see suffering. Compassion is more like, let's see if I see that a glass is falling from the table. Okay? I may become worried. I say, no, the glass should not fall from. Oh, bottle, hold the glass, do something. And I start crying and I want to cut away my veins because the glass is falling down. And I get so sad. And depending on my culture, no? Some cultures don't say anything. Some cultures will start shouting and crying and doing a lot of fuss about it. But this is not the true compassion. The true compassion is, I see the glass falling, and I will run as fast as I can. I will do whatever I can do in order to stop the glass from falling. And if I cannot do that because I am too far and I have no other means to do it, I will just accept it, and I will say, and now what can I do? I will help to clean. I will go to buy a new glass. What can I do? So there is no suffering involved. Okay? And this does not mean having no feeling for others. No. It means really loving others, really touching our mind and our heart with others. But there is no need to suffer. Okay? This is actually a very important point, because very often it's very difficult for us to understand this limit, this relation. Okay? So one question that we can do for ourselves is, why I suffer others suffering? One of the reasons is because we think like that. Yes, Tutla. Oh yes. When we talk about the meaning of compassion, even in our Western language, the etymology of compassion, it has two ways of seeing in our Western culture, two different etymologies today. Maybe there are others. That I have seen, there are two. The most common etymology, a passione, which means to suffer for the suffering of others, basically. Compatir means to suffer for. Passione comes, passion comes from compassion, from compatire, which means to suffer, and passion is the suffering, so to suffer for the suffering of others. Okay? But there is an older etymology, which means that compassione, compassion in Latin, is coming from comprehending the passion, comprehending the suffering, which is the view of Buddhism. In Buddhism, to wish others to be free from suffering and to do something about it is not to suffer for the suffering of others. Okay? So this is the two different meanings that we have actually. Okay? Well. Quindi, so the main cause of enlightenment, which is the specific cause of enlightenment, is relative bodhicitta. the deep wish to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay. Quindi la causa principale per raggiungere l'illuminazione, quella specifica, è il desiderio di raggiungere l'illuminazione per il beneficio di tutti gli altri, cosiddetta bodhicitta o se no bodhicitta relativa anche. Ok? Leggiamo adesso la domanda 7 che è direttamente collegata a questa. La 7 e la 8 sono tutte collegate alla bodhicitta. La 9 non me la ricordo. Andiamo a vedere. Riuscirò a vedere tutte adesso. Korwa le dömbe tsowo te kan yin. Jan chupki sem gombe tangbor. Yar semchen tamche. Ki mar shebala nyongwa tyongoshin. Peyan semchen tamche tasho. Goetze ki ditsam shilamik tse. Di rangi ma yin nge nyambe. Nyongwa lawa shik tambor mike kame yinbe na. Te gomlo jitarche. Sile döntab tsovoni dame tokpe sherab te. Sit pakpal hekyan dike sun. Yula dame tongnani sibe sabyon gakbar gyur. Okay, actually, we need to change a little bit the way of the questions here. I would say that question 8 remains only the question number A. Okay? And then question 7. The question 7 remains only the question A, and the B should go inside the question 8. Okay? Because then more coherence with the answer. So, here is. What is also the principal factor that pulls us out of samsara? What is the cause that pulls us out of samsara? We understood that the main cause to reach enlightenment is bodhicitta, but what's the cause that takes us out of samsara? Okay? The main method to free oneself from samsara is the wisdom realizing selflessness, because the samsaric root is the innate conception grasping at the self, is the spontaneous ignorance grasping at the self of ourself and phenomena, grasping at inherent existence. Also, Aryadeva, in his text, the 400 stanzas of the Middle Way, says, after seeing selflessness in objects, the samsaric seed will cease. After seeing the lack of inherent existence of all phenomena, there will be no more suffering of samsara. The seed, the root of samsara will be cut away. As it says here, the seed of samsara will be stopped, will be blocked. There will be no more samsara, there will be no more suffering. So, even though the main cause is bodhicitta, what is the main method to get out of suffering? Is the correct view of reality. That's the method. That's the main tool that we have. It says here, the main method to free oneself from suffering, from samsara, is the wisdom realizing selflessness. Selflessness means the lack of inherent existence. Because the samsaric root, the root of samsara, is the spontaneous grasping at inherent existence. It's the spontaneous grasping at inherent existence, that of all suffering. So eliminating that root will take us out of samsara. And this is the answer for the question 7a. What is also the factor that pulls us out of samsara, which is somehow a repetition of a question that was done before. No? For question number 4. Okay, which was talking, which is the innate inborn conceptions of self-observing and so on. Which means the question number 4 was also talking about what is the main cause of samsara. Here is not talking about the cause of samsara. In question number 4 was talking what is the main, here the question is what is the main method to get out of samsara. Okay? It's connected, but it's different. The first one was asking what was the main cause. Here is asking what is the main method to get out of samsara. So the main method, the main tool that we have in order to be free from suffering and in order to reach enlightenment, even though the main cause of enlightenment is bodhicitta, the main tool, the main method that we have is correct view of reality, is the realization, conceptual realization of the lack of inherent existence, is to stop the grasping at inherent existence. Okay? I'm not going to go into many details on this right now. I prefer to go to the next one. Method and wisdom. Method means love and compassion, basically. Then together with that there is generosity, morality, patience, joyful effort. All this is part of method. But the basis of method is love and compassion. And then we also need wisdom. So it's like for us to fly, for a bird to fly, the bird needs 2 wings. So if we ask, which wing is more important? Both. Both, or nothing. Similar to that, for us to fly to enlightenment, we need method, love and compassion, and we need wisdom. It's only with the 2 that we can fly towards enlightenment. Okay? When we take the path to enlightenment, the whole process of reaching enlightenment is divided into the 5 paths and the 10 bhumis, or the 10 stages of enlightenment. Okay? So the 5 paths are divided. It's called the path of accumulation. In Tibetan we call Tsoklam, Jorlam, Tonglam, Gomlam, Miloblam, which in English would be the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, of no more learning. The 10 bhumis, or the 10 stages, the first bhumi is in the path of seeing. The second bhumi is in the beginning of the path of meditation. From the second bhumi up to the 9th bhumi. And then the 10th stage of enlightenment is on the path of no more learning, which is the actual state of enlightenment. What are these 5 paths, basically? It's like if we put milestones on the process of reaching enlightenment. Okay, first you need to develop this, then you will develop that, and then you will develop this. Okay, this is how it is described. And if we see how is the process of entering from one path to the other, is basically fundamentally based on the correct view of reality, on realizing the true nature of phenomenon. But what gives us the strength on the path? Love and compassion. So wisdom without love and compassion becomes some, how do you say in English, sterile? Sterile? No connection, some sort of dry, very cold somehow. Huh? No, it means like wisdom without compassion, it becomes very cold, so not relating it with everything else. So it's something that finally will not have this strong strength within. Love and compassion is like the gas that we put in the car. Okay? Wisdom is like knowing how to drive well the car. But without the gas, we cannot go on. So the love and compassion is the basis, is what gives us the strength to go on. And it's so important, so powerful. But love and compassion without wisdom also means a lot of power without direction. So we need both. Okay? So, this is really, really essential on our path. Okay? So I will just read the next question, and we will not go through it right now, just very quickly. Okay? And it says, tambor yar simchen tamche gi simchen tamche rangi mar shebala nyowa temba goshin tamche tasho gotse ki ditsam sheya di rangi ma yinge nyambe nyowa lawa shik tambor mike kame yimbe na dei gomlo chidar che ki di yin nyam hetsam ka yinam druldek shin mikpa shen chikne chasa ye Yona te kanyin. Goetze kiso semche nam marshe gomtsu namdre le. Kewa yonsu lemba na sheso rikpe tome ta. Tukme drube longregi tapke drulgi gomshe sul. Okay. I'm not going to go into details. Tomorrow we will look at this with more calm, okay? But it's a very important, and because of that I don't want to hurry so much on this point. So I'll just read the question now. Also, before the cultivation of bodhicitta, it would be necessary to gain the experiential realization that all sentient beings have been one's mother. Develop bodhicitta on the process which is called the 7 causes and result of developing bodhicitta, Gyundre Menga Dün. It's a process where we have 7 causes, Marshe, Tinde, Chinso, Yuon, Jamba, Ninja, Laksa, Jugisem, which means recognizing all sentient beings as one's own mother, recognizing their kindness towards us, we wanting to repay their kindness, developing sympathy and love towards them, developing compassion with determination to help them, and then after that developing bodhicitta, okay? So this is the process that we need to go. So the first step to develop bodhicitta is to recognize every sentient being as our mother. At some point was our mother. So seeing every sentient being as our mother. So Lama, but forget talking about sentient beings. When we simply observe a door near our door, it would be indispensable to generate a vivid experience. It has definitively been my mother. Therefore, how would one handle meditating on it? First of all, here when we say Gyaltsen in Tibetan means the dog keeping the door. No, because originally in Tibet, what was the function of a dog? To protect the house. So the answer is, and in Tibet there was not this relation with dogs how people have nowadays. No, people nowadays in the West treat dogs more than one's own children sometimes. No, it's not this type of relation that was with dogs. So nowadays maybe it's a little bit even easier. Let's forget for a minute about all sentient beings. How can the mind when you see the dog in the front of the door that this was my mother? What do you need to meditate in order to generate that mind? Okay, to feel love towards that dog. To feel love towards the mosquito. What do we need to generate? And then the answer is given. The main method to free oneself from samsara, answer number 8. The technique to meditate on domestic animals, such as dogs, as a mother is taught in... Let me check the Tibetan, sorry. Gyaltsen Kisok. The technique to meditate on a dog and so on is not animals in Tibetan. I was like, that was quite funny in Tibetan to say domestic animals, because I would have never seen something said like this. So it was saying, the method to meditate on the dog and so on, mother, as is taught in the Pramanavartika, by Dharmakirti, Matsema Namdral, is a very special text, this text, very difficult to understand. In the sense we need to study very hard on it. Pranamavartika, it means, is a text, Tsema Namdrel is a text which is explaining the whole parts of logics inside Buddhist teachings. And there is a logics to explain everything according to logics. And there is a whole part explaining reincarnation through logics. Okay? So this is the part which is making reference here. One is asked to meditate with the method of the scripture and logic, which establishes that the starting point of one's is untraceable, following the reason, such as saying, when taking a rebirth entirely. Marshe Gomzu Namdele. Kewa yongsu lembana, shesu rikpe tometa, tukme drube lungriki, tapke trulki, gomshe sol. So it's basically saying the method, which is like a magical method somehow, to make us understand that others have been our mother. First thing that we need to do is to reincarnation. How do we see reincarnation? By analyzing the mental continuum. And when we start to analyze the mind, if we go backwards, which was my first thought? If we develop the ability to observe our mind and to remember our thoughts and to go back and back and back and back and back and back, we cannot find the first thought. We will end up in another life. It's something similar to what today is called previous past life therapy or something like that. I've never done that. I don't know how it is. I cannot say if it's right or wrong, okay? But the logic is that if we start by meditation to analyze our mind and remember the memory of the past, and we go back and back and back and back, we cannot find the first thought of this life. And if we go forwards, where it will end, we can also find where it will end. It's not possible. But when we need to go backward. And then we will see that even when in the childhood, the mind was there, and even much before, and when we were born and before, we can go back and back and back and back, up to other lives. So the point here isn't infinite numbers of lives, because there was not such a thing as a first life. In most of our lives, we had a mother. We only did not have a mother in the lives that we were in the realms or in the hell realms, where there is miraculous birth, or some type of life like bacteria that is born out of heat, it's said. Otherwise, if we are born in the animal realm, most of it, and if we are born in the human realm, we have a mother, right? And the mother is the example of someone extremely kind to us. The mother is the example of someone that cares for us in the moment of most need. When we are born, when we are that small baby, without a mother, would we survive? Without someone caring for us, would we survive? No. And who did that for most of us? Our mother. So, if not for anything else, only for that. Many other things also, but that's more than enough. If today and will save our lives, would we be grateful to that person? So, our mother saved our lives so many times, taking care of us when we were born. So it's developing this gratitude towards our mother, deeply gratitude. We develop this, but does gratitude have deadline, which means that expiry date? If you did something good for me today, and another person did the same thing 20 years ago, what's the value of one or the other? The same or different? The same. So if someone was good for me in this life and someone was good for me in my past life, what's the difference? No. It's just a matter that I don't remember, but I don't remember the things of this life even, so no? Okay? So, by that, we should develop this feeling that we love attention, and we see them as others, we stand near to everyone. We see that because we have had so many lives, so that I have been the mother of all of you. All of you have been my mother. Mother, father, lover, friend, enemy, everything. Of everyone. When we see an end, at some point we were the mother of that end. That end was our mother at some point. So, by reflecting upon this, we get near to all sentient beings. Okay? And this is the valuable bodhicitta, is to feel, not to think, is to feel. Sentient being at some point has been our mother. So, to have that feeling. Second step is to remember the kindness. Third step, to wish to repay back the kindness. Fourth step, we develop sympathy and love towards others. After that, we develop compassion. And after that, we develop this strong determination to do something from them, and from that comes the which is bodhicitta. Okay? But we start by getting near to everyone, creating empathy. And we do this generation of empathy by seeing every sentient being as our mother. All of them has been our mother, sooner or later as some. So, our mother, our father, our lover, our friends. At some point we were near to every sentient being. So it's like developing this empathy, taking away the distance between us and others. Okay? I said I would not explain this, finally I end up with explaining, but okay. So this is the meaning of this point here, okay? And actually this answer, it goes for answer of the question 7 and also the question number 8, because the question 8 says, is it just a matter of insisting on thinking, this dog is my mother, or is there another technical visualization, like the case of lifting a machine? If it's there, what it is? And the method to see all sentient beings as our mothers is to reflect upon the process of reincarnation. Is understanding clearly reincarnation, having a vivid experience of reincarnation, seeing that we have had infinite lives. That's the actual method. So the first step here is to take away the distance between us and every sentient being by meditating on the fact that we had infinite lives. Then from that afterwards, then we will go to generating, recognizing the kindness of all of them, wanting to repay back the kindness, generating love, compassion, determination to help them, and finally bodhicitta. But first thing we need to generate is empathy, take away the distance between us and every sentient being. Okay? So we will conclude here for today with the teachings, and then tomorrow we will start again at 9 o'clock with the meditation and the teachings again at 11. Okay?
Gyaltsen Lama kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepadang Losang tempe drome sasum ge drove Michel tato ne gyurch Nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delek shin Nyinsen takto delek pe koncho sumge jinge lob koncho sumge ngodrup tsol koncho sumge trashisho.
At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realization and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.